Hey guys, it's Will. In this video, we're going to go over AMD stock and give a quick review of some of the top AI companies to be watching this week. Now, we just had the CPI report come out with a little bit less favorable jobs report, and also the inflation was actually a little bit better than last reporting for the inflation, but still a little bit higher than we'd like to see year over year there. So it's still kind of monitoring. Most likely rate cuts, very likely here into September. If they push off into 2026, most likely we'll see the market really consolidate, and we'll see some big push-ups most likely in 2026. I bet as soon as they announce an interest rate cut, something like that, we're going to see some big time surges, most likely due to funding, capital funding that could happen for the smaller cap stocks. Most asset prices will go up, but one thing that could shock real estate markets would be the fact that there's a lot of people looking for interest rates that are lower, and they're waiting to sell their home because they want to get to be able to replace their home, maybe find another house, but they don't want to go buy right now because the interest rates are high. And so what happens if they lower those interest rates, a lot of people might put their homes on the market, and we could see a supply shock, something like that. So there's a little bit of it's almost like a stagflationary position, where there could be a lot of different indicators, a lot of different things to be looking at in the market. But there's a few things we know for certain. Almost every single AI company, or just technology company in general, has basically announced in their earnings that they're investing more into data centers, more into infrastructure for computing power, more into the investment of their technology, running large language models or machine learning. And what companies stand to benefit? Well, definitely you got Nvidia, but definitely you got AMD stock. AMD is a company we've been investing in for a while now, and we've really been able to capitalize on this surge from about $70 up to 175. We're up about 69% over here on our AMD position, and we've been pretty bullish on it. So we see them get up into some highs here around 175 today, which they've been making higher highs in this overall uptrend over the last few weeks or months, I should say. And you got this trend here happening. Very consistent trend on AMD stock. That's kind of how it looks. Pretty consistently making higher highs, holding above that 200-day moving average, and continuing to hold above the EMA, that blue line when it's bullish, sometimes breaking below, getting a little bit bearish and selling below that EMA. Today, we ended the day up above that 200-day moving average, above that EMA. So still looking to continue some of their momentum and maybe even make that run back up into that 186 that we saw on the 30th there of July. Now, it's a bullish outlook. A lot of people look at AMD stock and they say, wow, they could make that run up there. What is holding them back? Well, there's not a whole lot. In fact, if we look at where they've had the most momentum, a couple things to note. Their financials. So overall AI markets, they are one of the top players for GPUs, for data centers, as they have a tremendous amount of market hold compared to other companies. They're basically next up to Nvidia. And what we've seen with their financials is they've come in with their revenue very consistently, with increasing revenues year over year, and quarterly that's how it looks, and then yearly it looks like that too, so increasing revenues as well. They had an all-time high of $25 billion with positive net income of $1.6 billion, and their balance sheet has been the same, seeing their balance sheet really hold consistently with $75 billion in cash, or total assets I should say, along with about $15 billion in liabilities. So overall, from a financial standpoint, they look good. Their valuation is a little bit high. It's true. They're up around a PE ratio now of about $100 a share, which, you look at it and you say, okay, they're up to the highs. Maybe they break this trend that they've had. But here's why I think they are going to continue to run and maybe even make all-time highs. First of all, if we search AMD stock and Starlink, AMD stock is not directly related to Starlink, but Starlink, which is partnered with T-Mobile, you've probably seen they have these dishes that go out that are a satellite internet constellation. And this live stream or this video is running right now on Starlink internet. And I'll tell you what, the SpaceX partnerships that happen almost always end up really highly benefiting companies when they partner with Starlink for anything, or SpaceX for anything. And same thing was true back when we found Nvidia years ago, before it started to really come into fruition that it was the top company. I was looking at Apple, or I was looking at a Tesla, and I would say it looks like these companies are relying on Nvidia. So that means Nvidia is going to grow. Well, a lot of companies are now relying on AMD, including Starlink. So the AMD chips are used in Starlink's latest generation of broadband satellites. And, I see them fly over my house at night sometimes, especially when they do a new launch. It's a really beautiful sight when they're still making their way into orbit. They're really gorgeous. And I'll tell you what, the Versal chips there, you can see they're really starting to get some momentum, providing for Starlink. And it says something about AMD's quality of their GPUs. Now, you can see here too that we have some videos here that are ranked #1 here from us on the channel. Thank you guys. Do consider subscribing. Do consider hitting that like button. And if you ever want to learn how to trade semiconductor stocks, quantum computing, space tech stocks, or AI stocks in general, then I would encourage you to check out Stockmates. It's the second link down below for our daily live trading session at Market Open. Tomorrow we will be there. Now, when it comes to AMD's movement, they've mentioned in their recent earnings, and a lot of tech companies are planning on utilizing AMD's growth, that they are going into data centers. So with their current levels, we've looked at them really start to make highs, and you might say, wow, Will, they're really running up. But when we look at AMD from an investor perspective, we looked at their recent earnings, they came in good. They talk about really advancing into data centers. And not just do they talk about it, but we see other companies looking to rely on their data centers that they are advancing into. So AMD is definitely in the right markets. You see that take place. The other thing that, before we wrap up with the margin for profit and getting into the risk management, if we take any shorter term trades, it's going to be looking at their recent acquisitions. AMD just picked up this company. They acquired this software company that basically lets them make better large language models that are faster. So kind of competing there with OpenAI or ChatGPT. So I think AMD is going down a route where they're expanding into space tech, they're expanding into data centers and GPUs. They're even expanding here into large language models like ChatGPT. That's why they're probably going to see more dominance kick in and more market share that they can acquire. Now, they bought this company, so they basically just added it to their arsenal now. So they have this large language model that's super fast. And let's take a look at the margins for profit and the risk. Right now, we're looking at highs here, some consolidation support, some highs up into this 170. Be about a 7% increase, kind of making its run back up in these highs, 5 to 10% increase on AMD stock, which is over on AMDL, which is ticker symbol AMDL. So not AMD, but AMDL. It is going to be 2x that amount. So about a 16% margin for profit because it's a 2x. So sometimes in the short-term trades, we do the 2x. So we're going to be watching it there. Again, it's got a $170 support. And then there is that potential conservative play down to 160 once again. See how the market reacts at market open. If we do see it sell down to that 160, 162, we'll probably look for more of a buying opportunity too. You got this previous resistance here that in a bull trend will act as a support there. So we could see maybe that as a better buying opportunity or better entry. But you do see this hyper bull trend, this previous resistance acting as a support time and time again. Previous resistance acting as support. This is normally what you see when you're getting a really nice uptrend that is consistent. You kind of see these levels here. And that's what we're seeing, this stair stepping up. And so they are pretty volatile. They kind of dipped and recovered. And so we're going to see if they can hold this 170 range or if they dip down here. Most likely we'll look to trade it tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for watching. If I earned your thumbs up, hit the like button. do consider subscribing. And just a friendly reminder for those of you guys that want to join us live, it's the second link below for our market session tomorrow. See you guys in the next video. Take care.